Hey, and welcome to I Gotta Know. This is a podcast for curious people. My name is Jordan Kuykendall, and I'm your host. And today we're jumping right into episode number 2, where we'll be answering 2 questions put in the Ask Me Anything box. The first one is, how do I deal with stress and anxiety? And the second one is it okay to question God? Even going so far as to talk about, is it okay to question the existence of God? I got a special guest joining me today, so I hope you'll stick around. All right, thank you guys for sticking around. I want to introduce my special guest today. Lane, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Lane Guest, and yeah, Guest is actually my last name. It's not just a joke. And I've been helping out with the youth here at Lakeview for a skinny minute at least.
Lane is very
been a
skinny,
while.
by the way.
Okay. So yeah, I'm just here gonna try to answer some questions. I do Liberty Online, so I don't know if that gives me any merit at all. But
of course it does. Of course. At least you're trying.
Yeah, at least I'm trying.
Well, hey, today we're going to jump right into our first topic, and that's how do I deal with anxiety and stress? I mean, I think that's a question everyone has. We see this type of stuff so much now due to the busyness of schedules and failures to live up to physical standards of beauty and society, and even the struggles that we face in everyday life. But, Lane, have you ever really had times where you've been stressed out or battled with anxiety?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah. I mean, you know this about me. But I've definitely dealt with a lot of anxiety. Some self brought on, others just from situational anxiety. Have had many panic attacks. I've been on medicine before, which not a lot of people know that about me. So there you go. I've been on meds, guys. Hey.
Now they do.
Hey mom, but yeah, I've definitely dealt with a lot of anxiety, so I've, been asking this question for a long time, how do I deal with this?
Yeah.
Which it's tough to get an answer, so I'm glad that we get the chance to answer this question.
Yeah. So, really, from a personal standpoint, I've never actually dealt with anxiety to the measure that most people have. I know that my mind also doesn't allow me to recognize stress for what it is. Instead, it's just being busy. So, the one thing that I've always kind of turned to more over the last few years when I feel that start happening is there's a scripture in Psalm 34:4 that says, I sought the Lord and he heard me and delivered me from all my fears. This is something that I think as believers, it's good to turn to scripture because it gives us that encouragement in scripture. But, if you just break down that one sentence, I sought the Lord, instead of seeking out my anxiety or my stress, it's seeking the one that can help me with that. And knowing that he hears me, he doesn't just let it go in one ear and out the other. And he delivered me from all my fears. May not always be that exact moment. It may be something that you have to deal with for a little while, but he will deliver you. And a lot of times now there's a ton of causes for anxiety and fear and stress. A lot of them can be conflict or health problems, dangerous situations, death, unmet needs, spiritual problems, all kinds of stuff. But there was something that a Christian counselor named Dr. Gary Collins said that really struck me on this topic. And he says this: according to the Bible, there's nothing wrong with realistically acknowledging and trying to deal with the unidentifiable problems of life. To ignore danger is foolish and wrong, but it's also wrong, as well as unhealthy, to be immobilized by excessive worry. Such worry must be committed to prayer and God, who can release us from paralyzing fear or anxiety and free us to deal realistically with the needs and welfare both of others and of ourselves. And just breaking that down a little bit, man, there's nothing wrong with recognizing that there's a problem. And I think that's one of the biggest, breakdowns in communication with people now when they're dealing with stress and anxiety is that it's not okay to recognize it as such. And I think it really is. Lane, for somebody who's dealt with that on a different level than I have, was there any kind of a stigma to actually telling somebody, hey, I struggle with this big time?
Absolutely. My biggest source of anxiety is unknowns. And so that includes reactions.
Yeah.
So a lot of people get this idea of like, if I go and ask for help, everybody's going to see me as, the needy, mentally unhealthy person.
Yeah.
But it's far better to go ask for help. Like, and one thing that people don't realize, one, it's perfectly okay because tons of people, especially nowadays in colleges, mental health is very much has always been unaddressed. But it very much needs to be addressed in colleges.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people go through it, and a lot of people are okay with other people going through it.
Yeah.
It's
more widely accepted now that more people are struggling with it than you think.
Absolutely. And so and another thing that people don't know, it's not like you're broadcasting this. I mean, I'm broadcasting it on a podcast now.
Literally.
But I don't go to counseling anymore. I don't take medicine anymore. But, if you would have told me to do this when I was, I absolutely would not have done it.
Yeah.
But nobody knew. I mean, I think you knew, and my parents knew, and a couple other people knew. Hey, Lane's going to counseling, or hey, he's taking medicine for his stress, and that's okay.
Yeah, that just means you have some accountability, and I think that's the biggest fear that people have is telling somebody and them knowing about them and knowing their quote unquote what the world would identify as broken. Which is actually kind of cool now in the world. It's becoming more widely accepted for people to come out with these kind of issues that they're dealing with, because to know that you have a community around you that supports you, that loves you, that is trying to help you, I think gets you through some of this stuff too. I think there's a couple general common sense suggestions for people that are weighed down with fear, anxiety, and worry and stress and stuff. And I just want to talk about a few of those real quick. I think the first one is, sin in your life. Sometimes fear and anxiety are the result of somebody's sin and their guilt. And if you've committed a sin or done something wrong, your fear and anxiety is probably God and your own conscience trying to get your attention. I've dealt with this many times. It's like, man, I'm really stressed out. And then I boil it down to the fact that what I did wasn't right. And that was my conscience just eating away at me. And one thing I would suggest for people that are dealing with that is to repent, confess your sin and seek God's forgiveness and set it right. Go to Psalm 34:4. Seek him out and he'll hear you and let him deliver you from your fears. But also another one, and Lane, I know this is another one because I know you really personally to talk about, but sleep. Man, sleep is a huge cause of stress and anxiety and worry and fear. Humans are supposed to get, studies show, 8 to 9 hours of sleep a day.
Heck yeah.
How many times have you gotten 8 to 9 hours of sleep?
In the past week?
Yeah.
I wish it was more than it's been. Probably once.
Yeah.
But if I had the choice, I would be getting like 12 hours of sleep.
Amen to that.
I love sleep.
I do too, and I think it's something that our bodies need. Obviously, sleep deprivation can increase anxiety. Studies show that, and so you have to get enough rest. And if you can't sleep, you may need to, seek God's help, and maybe even talk to a physician. Like, hey, I'm having a really hard time sleeping. When I was in college, I went through a battle with insomnia for a long time, and I could not sleep, and it stressed me out. And I was worried about things, but I didn't seek anything to help that. And I wish I would have, because I probably would have made some different decisions. But, who I was then is not who I am now. But sleep deprivation causes anxiety and stress because you don't get what your body needs to help you think through things logically. Another thing, too, and man, this hits right at home with me sometimes, is being more realistic. Like, a lot of times people are worried or stressed out about things that will probably never actually happen. And we have to just sit back and relax and focus on today. Like, take it one day at a time. Being worried or stressed out about something that may not even happen isn't worth it, because you're just spending your day wasting it away worrying about something like, well, a meteor might fall from the skies and land on me. You'd be surprised. Some people stress about that kind of stuff. And it's like, dude, that's not likely. My sister-in-law, she might hate me for saying this and broadcasting it on here, but like, she's terrified of sharks at the ocean. And trying to break down the statistics for her of shark attacks at the beach when we went this summer was like, dude, she almost bought like a chainmail outfit for all her kids. Like that kind of stuff is not likely to happen. Don't be stressed out or worried about it. Like just take it one day at a
This is not
time.
Australia.
Yeah, it's not, right? It's
Yeah,
like I
definitely
automatically
agree.
think, hello, bros, right? I think another important thing too is like what you were saying is to talk to somebody and take action.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to talk to somebody about what you're going through. Don't hold it all inside and bottle it up. It can be a huge relief to share your fears and worries with somebody else, like a friend or a person in your family or a pastor or a counselor. Because if fear and anxiety is an ongoing problem in your life, then take the time to schedule a regular time to talk with somebody about it. Lane, I know you did that, at least with me. And, being able to have somebody to fall back on is important, like what you were saying
Yeah, it
earlier. There's a
definitely is.
community there. Um, but talk us through a little bit of like what went through your head when you were taking action, when you were seeking out literal help from, a therapist or a counselor and medicine and stuff. What were the kind of things going through your head? Like, did you at all think, man, I'm really going to have to take medicine? Like, I really have to go sit down and talk to a
Absolutely, I
counselor?
did. Absolutely. Every single time that I took a pill, I was like, man, I it is a definite feeling of being weak.
Yeah.
That is honestly what it was. I was scared at first that I was gonna have to take medicine, and then when you find out you do,
Mm.
it's like, especially me being a guy, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
not a man.
Yeah. You feel
I
less
can't
than.
handle my situation
Mm-hmm.
by myself.
You feel weak
Yeah.
mentally.
I feel like
emotionally.
less of a man
Yeah.
because, oh my gosh, I gotta go talk about my feelings.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
And that's another one of those stigmas that has just been placed on us now is like, guys, you can't talk about your feelings.
Yeah.
There's so many guys out there, especially like teenagers. Like, y'all, I'm talking to you. Like, if you're a teenage guy right now or boy, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call yourself, and you're dealing with something, go talk to somebody because I can
Absolutely.
guarantee you it's only going to get worse if you don't. Like, talk to someone about it. Give it up to the Lord in prayer.
Yeah.
Seek counsel. Like, take the steps to help yourself. So I think really just kind of wrapping this topic up, for those of you dealing with stress and anxiety, you're not alone. Talk to somebody about it. Pray through it. But find somebody that you can really rely on and that is going to build you up, not somebody that's going to feed that stress or anxiety. And if there's something in your life that's keeping you from doing that, then get rid of it. Cast it aside and seek that help so that you can get better, so that you can think clearly. And man, most importantly, get some sleep, man. Like everybody's schedules are so busy now. You got to get some sleep. Don't stress yourself out. Get that rest and get that help that you need. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back to our second topic, which is it okay to question God? And we're even going to talk about, is it okay to question the existence of God? All right, well, we're back with our second topic now. Let's just kind of jump right in. Is it okay to question God? Lane, what are your thoughts on this?
Tough answer because the answer is kind of yes and kind of no. I question God all the time, and I think that everybody does. And I don't really think that there's a problem with asking God questions, but they have to be done for the right reasons. They have to be done for because you want an understanding, not because you want a certain answer.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Which is oftentimes my downfall when I ask God questions.
I want the answer I want, God, and you're not giving that to me.
Absolutely.
I was speaking with our pastor and a good friend of mine who's actually going to be my guest for this next episode. We couldn't name one person in the Bible that didn't question God. I mean, if you think about it, Moses questioned God's tactics when he gave Moses the task of going to Pharaoh. Habakkuk questioned God and started to grow impatient. Even Jesus questioned if he really had to go through the crucifixion when he was praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. Like, there's people that question God all throughout the Bible. And I think what's cool is that you kind of look at God's reaction to these things. He didn't just, cast them aside and was like, how dare you ever? There were times where he's like, really, you're questioning me? Like, who gave them mouths to speak? Don't worry about this stuff. Like, I've got it. Just trust me. But think about questioning in a way to get our way, like kind of what you were saying, why we question, the motive behind it. The Pharisees questioned Jesus so that they could try to get their way. They wanted to, poke and prod him in order to really try and trap him and prove themselves righteous. Like they wanted to catch him in something. And I think it all really just boils down to that motive. Am I questioning because of a selfish desire, or am I questioning out of a desire to know more and understand more? I think that's really what it boils down to. A lot of times, I know, Lang, you said it. I'm guilty of asking questions and doubting God's will and plans. And instead of being in the Word, which provides us with the wisdom we seek, if you look at James 1, I'm continuing to repeat my questions over and over and over, or look for other places for my answers because I don't like the answer I'm giving. So a lot of times when I'm questioning God, it's like, what is my motive? Am I really trying to understand what God is doing or something about Him? Or am I questioning Him because it's not going the way that I want it? I think that's really the toughest question there. And I think probably something that, a lot of people battle when it comes to questioning the existence of God. I think in order to understand something, you have to know if it's there or not. And, people that question the existence of God really want some evidence, something to hold on to, something to see and understand that is there, that's bigger than them. So questioning the existence of God, I could understand for a new believer or a non-believer even. But as a believer, I think you still have some of those questions of like, okay, God, like, is this legitimate? But if you're asking that to try to prove him wrong, then that's not the right motive, right? If you're a believer, you should be questioning because you want to understand. He's bigger than us. We're never really going to fully understand everything about God. That is what makes him a mystery, and that's what causes us to continue to seek after him. But I don't think there's anything wrong with questioning God, but like we said, it all boils down to the motive.
It definitely boils down to the motive. I can't remember what book it's in, but it says that the prayer of the righteous man will be answered. But the key word there is righteous man. So we have to be answering. We have to be asking for the right reasons to genuinely. I need this answer because so and so needs this answer, or I need this answer, God, because I want a bigger understanding of you. Not, well, God, you kind of already gave me an answer, but I didn't like that answer, so I'm going to just keep asking this question because I kind of just want what I want, God.
Yeah.
And then we find ourselves being like, oh, well, is God all knowing? Oh, like, I'm pretty sure I'm all knowing, like,
yeah.
So it boils down to, why are we asking this? And even with the existence of God, if you're not actively, searching for answers biblically, like, then you honestly will probably come to the conclusion that he's not there.
Yeah.
If you go through, scientific evidence and all that stuff, and you're doing it because you don't want him to be there, he's not going to be there.
Well, it's like the people that tell a lie for so long, it eventually becomes the truth.
It eventually becomes the truth.
Yeah. If you're searching it out to prove it wrong, it's going to be proved wrong to you because you've already made your mind up.
Yeah.
But asking to understand is not wrong. So those of you that are battling with that question, is it okay to question God? Yes, absolutely. It's okay to question so that you can understand. But understand that you'll never understand, right? There's a lot of understands, but I mean, it's true. Never really going to fully understand, but God will answer your questions. But the key is that it's in His time.
Yeah.
You may be going through some stuff and you're questioning God as to why He's making you go through it. It may not be super evident right then, and God may not have it in His will for you to understand right then. Like for me, I've had circumstances in my life where I questioned God for almost 7 years. Why? Why did I have to deal with this as a kid? Why were these my circumstances? Why was this the hand that I was dealt? 7 years later, I get my answer in a super simple way, and it's like, okay, I understand now, and I wasn't seeking it out because I didn't think he existed. I was seeking it out because I wanted to understand why. And I think that's what it boils down to is our motive. I want to encourage you guys with both these topics that really just our discussion here today is just meant to be a tool for you to try to get some help, both with stress and anxiety and your questions with God. I think one of the main points that boils down to both of them is, talk to people about it. The Bible tells us to surround ourselves with like-minded people. Surround yourselves with people that are going to build you up. And I think that goes true for both of these topics. Talk to people about your questions. That's kind of what we encouraged our students to do when we started this Ask Me Anything box was, ask these questions, but talk about them amongst your peers and make sure that they're peers that are like-minded and like-hearted and have the same mindset as you so that you're not seeking for an answer and the people that you're surrounding yourself with are just going to feed that, even though it's wrong. Surround yourself with people that are spiritually mature. Talk to pastors, talk to mentors, talk to your family. But the biggest thing is to talk to somebody about it, right? Like, this is why we're sitting down and having this conversation is you have to talk about it to really iron out what you're going to think about and your mindset on these things. So I want to encourage you guys to think about things, talk them out with people, seek help. There's nothing wrong with it. I think both of us have sought help in some sort of a way for things that are going on in our lives. There's nothing wrong with doing that. So do that. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today and listening to us. Thank you, Lane, for joining me today. I wanted to thank my guest, and I did. Lane Guest, thanks for joining us. If you want to, this is a shameless plug here. Go follow me on social media, on Facebook and Instagram and Spotify and YouTube. I Gotta Know with Jordan Kuykendall. You can go on there, give it a like, a subscribe, whatever you want to do. Share it with people. We'll be tuning in for episode number 3 with my special guest, and that'll be available as well. And we're going to be talking about what happens to the people who never get to hear about God. It's like an ethereal question that I think almost anybody has. So I'm really excited to jump into this. My guest that I have coming on for that is a phenomenal guy, very wise guy. And so make sure that you tune in for that so that you can hear that. We'll answer the tough questions for you. We'll see you next week.